전 지구적 고령화와 기후변화의 맥락 속 녹지는 삶의 질과 관련된 중요한 일상의 장소로 재조명되고 있다. 특히 코로나19 확산 이후 일상생활 반경 내에 존재하는 녹지 공간은 건강한 삶을 위한 필수 요소로 주목받고 있다. 한강은 서울의 대표적인 공공 녹지 공간이다. 한국의 수맥으로서 가장 대중화된 녹지 공간인 한강은 시민들의 건강한 삶, 다양한 문화체험의 장, 많은 사람이 한데 모이는 만남의 장소로서 중요한 기능을 하고 있다. 우리 팀은 한강과 한강공원을 모든 시민이 녹지의 아름다움을 만끽할 수 있는 서울의 쉼터로 만들고자 한다. 오타와는 접근성과 지속 가능성을 염두에 두고 녹지 공간을 개발하여 주목할 만한 성취를 이룬 도시이다. 본 영상은 오타와의 녹지 공간 활용에 대한 한 달간의 여정을 기록한 것으로 접근성과 사회적 지속 가능성 측면에서 탐구한 것들을 담아보았다.
Ottawa Tourism, our job is to steward the destination, make it better, develop the destination, work with our partners at different levels of government as well. So the federal government right now has accessibility standards for every single one of their buildings. And that makes it that they have to make all of their buildings accessible, including, you've been to museums all around Ottawa, those are government owned. So those have to be have to have the highest standards of accessibility. So that means ramp, that means being able to walk around, being also accessible for people who are visibly impaired, people who are deaf. I just talked about that's important. And also on our side, we're involved with 14 other cities in Canada in the GDS index, which is a scale to compare sustainability of different urban destinations in the world. And it involves having a sustainability plan, which Ottawa Tourism has. We also have a department within the company that is devoted to sustainability.
실제로 오타와는 대부분의 건물에 출입문 자동 개폐 버튼과 경사로가 있었고, 횡단보도에는 신호전환 버튼이 있어 보행약자가 오랫동안 신호를 기다리지 않게 하는 환경이 구현되어 있었다. 높은 접근성은 노인을 비롯한 보행약자의 야외 활동을 증진시키고 건강한 일상을 지원한다. 사회적 지속 가능성과 접근성은 상호 보완적 관계이며 법적 보호가 효과적임을 깨달을 수 있었다. 리드오나에서는 8km 구간의 보행로를 직접 체험해보며 보행약자들의 접근성을 위해 필요한 요소들, 그늘, 식수대, 화장실 유무 등을 파악할 수 있었다. 이를 통해 추후 한강의 접근성을 위해 고려해야 할 점들에 대해 알 수 있었다.
Then we have what's known as a Municipal Services Corporation. So that's what the Byward Market District Authority is. And we are an extension of the city. And we are created when the city doesn't want to do something or can't. And in this case, it's operate a public market. And so what we do is our primary stakeholders are residents, visitors, and businesses. So working with those three stakeholders is how we create that inclusion and connection. Because we're an aging population, public spaces have to be accessible. But we also know that accessibility is probably one of the better market opportunities to raise money for businesses, right? The accessibility community, seniors, moms, people in wheelchairs, often are catered to. But in a lot of places, that's $1 billion of unspent money. So making doorsteps accessible, making sure wheelchairs and strollers can move around are all parts of really important design elements and design guides that we want to put into play. Yeah, so we manage them. So as a public market, we maintain a staff. We have a general manager who has eyes on the day-to-day operations of the market. We have market coordinators who help set up the market every day, and we have a program where people can apply and become a vendor on the market. The best way to think about a vendor, or how we think about the markets, the flea market, the clothing market, these are all businesses that potentially could grow.
공공공간에서의 소외와 배제는 그 공간을 점유하는 주류 집단의 경향성에 의해 일어난다. 사회적 약자를 배려하지 않는 태도가 사람들 간의 분리를 낳는 것이다. 관계자분께서 말씀하신 접근성 향상이 높은 경제적 수익으로 이어지고 플리마켓이 성장 가능성을 지닌 비즈니스라는 점은 기존의 시각을 뒤집어 보았을 때 더 큰 사회적 이익을 포착할 수 있다는 사실을 짚고 있었다.
My name is Dr. Jennifer Baker. I am a researcher in environmental humanities, but my specialization is in literature. And so I study Canadian literature and poetry and poetics, and how they interact with the environment. And so I talk about poets who write about environmental issues or use environmental elements in their writing. A lot of people used to skate to work sometimes. Like it was sort of, it goes all the way through the city, and so if you lived on the right path, you could get your activity in by skating to work. And so it's a really powerful symbol, I think, in Ottawa, and also just having sort of that connection when people are running along the trails that go along the canal. It feels very, when a city feels more active, I think it also feels happier in a way. Like people like to be outside here. And so I think for a lot of people, that's what the canal symbolizes. I think it takes a bit more space. One of the things I like about the Sunday Bike Days program is that it takes cyclists who want to go really fast away from the smaller paths on the canal, which means that people who have physical disabilities or who have a harder time sort of getting into green spaces feel more comfortable on the paths because they're not competing with these like professional cyclists. It does help make it more inclusive for people with disabilities and accessibility issues because it separates people who are going really fast from people who just want to even have a walk along the canal with their children, or who use wheelchairs or other devices to get around. And so space, I think this sort of separation of space helps make things more inclusive and accessible.
녹지 공간은 도시의 생기를 불어넣는 수단으로 시민들의 활동적이고 건강한 삶에 기여한다. 그렇기에 도심 속 녹지 공간은 사람을 고려해야 한다. 교수님의 말씀처럼 라이더들이 녹지를 점유하는 것은 일반 시민이나 보행 약자들에게는 접근성을 해치는 요소가 될 수 있다. 녹지는 다양한 목적으로 활용될 수 있지만 가장 중요한 것은 모든 시민들이 일상적으로 사용할 수 있어야 한다는 것이다. 아이들을 데리고 있는 사람, 휠체어를 사용하는 사람들이 편하게 움직일 수 있는 환경이 우선적으로 필요하다.
So basically, fundamentally, when we intervene physically on a site, we got to make sure that it's for every user. Throughout our analysis, when we were tasked with a project, is to go through all of these questions: is how can we make the site universally accessible for all type of user, all gender, all cultural background? How can we make this more interesting, and we're not always able to check all the boxes, but as many as we can. That's sort of our idea. There's not per se a formal regulation on that, even though if the universal accessibility, there's an Accessibility Act where it tells us that we must meet some minimum standard, but we gotta also work within the site itself. We
also have other processes that will help us to tackle the last few things that we may have missed. Like we have a committee with external partners, with different groups that are represented, like blind people with other physical disabilities, that will be around the table. And then we put the project with the design that we have on the table, and we do a presentation like that.
And the NCC being part of the federal government has recognized the climate change urgency, and we do stand by. We have a sustainable development strategy that does influence and we need to consider into our project. All of our project, we're looking at waste reduction, carbon neutrality, all of these elements fits within our project.
I would say that, well, I mean, with the opening of Kiwiki Point only a few weeks in front of us, I would say that right now it's one of the highlight of the summer for sure. So.
Last year, the highlight was
River
River
House.
House. Exactly. So River House, I don't know if you've been, is an old boat club that's on the water. And it's more than 100 years old. And the NCC restored that building, added 2 bars, and added a pool in the river with floating decks, and it's free. You can go and swim. But it was full immediately, and everybody loved it, and it's still going this year. And the advantage of proximity is very important. To feel that you can walk to a number of different things and have many choices within a short walk is very important. You know, the fundamental democratic right of people to go places for free with your own 2 feet is essential. Or with a mobility device, but you know what I mean. If you need to own a $30,000 or $40,000 car to go somewhere, it's less accessible right off the bat. So for me, urban settings have that built in as, you know, the great equalizer is proximity and access.
And the nature of the site, you know, the sense of place. What does the site tell us even before we intervene? And respecting this and considering also in every design gesture the variety of culture that will make this site, because we can have this beautiful landscape or park. If no one goes, we've missed the boat. Like it's pointless. So I think understanding that, considering sustainability, climate change, and it's about people, places, urban place, it's about people. Now when we leave Majors Park, we move into Kiwiki Point. Kiwiki Point is located at the high point along the shoreline, and it's provide beautiful views to the river. Unfortunately, the site is closed now because in 2017, the NCC went did a international design competition to rehabilitate this park, which was past its life cycle. Its life cycle was underused, and we wanted to create again a vibrant place, a park, a green island that would attract and bring people to the river. Part of this concept, there was a signature bridge, so linking Kiwiki Point, which was known formerly as Nepean Point, to Majorsville Park. So the design proposal proposed this signature bridge. If you go along into Majorsville along St. Patrick, you'll see it's visible now. It allows user to cross from Majorsville Park to Kiwiki without crossing any traffic lane or being worried about any oncoming traffic. So that's a huge improvement in our view with this building this rideau-to-rideau idea.
우리 팀이 한강 활성화를 계획하며 고민했던 것 중 하나는 공원까지의 접근성이었다. 4만 불의 차가 없어도 일상적으로 올 수 있는 녹지를 도시 속에서 구현할 필요가 있다. 접근성은 특정 장소 내에서뿐만 아니라 그 장소에 가기까지의 과정 역시 중요한 것이다. 아무도 가지 않는다면 그것은 무의미하다는 관계자분의 말처럼 도시 장소는 사람에 의해 의미를 가짐을 기억해야 한다. 2주의 시간 동안 오타와 시내 전반의 접근성을 면밀히 관찰하였다. 스파크 스트리트에서는 차량 통행 금지의 이점과 보행 친화적 요소를 살펴보았고, 오타와 시청을 비롯해 많은 건물과 공공장소에서 유니버설 디자인이 적용되어 있음을 알 수 있었다. 리도우나, 가우즈호수 등 시민들이 자주 찾는 녹지 공간들에서는 녹지 포용성 실태를 파악할 수 있었다. 보행로와 자전거 도로의 분리, 그늘막과 식수대 설치, 평지 진입로와 경사로 등 여러 항목을 관찰하였는데 오타와 녹지 접근성의 장점과 단점 모두 우리 팀이 녹지 포용성 실현 방안을 계획하는 데에 시사점을 주었다. 남은 2주는 녹지의 문화적 활용 측면에서 오타와를 탐구할 것이다.